Hello everyone. In this section, we are going to deploy Node.js and a MongoDB backend application. This is an introduction to this section. So, in this particular section, we are going to deploy a somewhat different type of application. We don't have a graphical user interface for this application like the one we used to deploy using WordPress. Rather, we are going to deploy an application that just displays or just outputs text in the form of JSON objects. This is called an API, or an Application Programming Interface. If you have been working in web development for any length of time, you will sure have met this term before. It is just a service that is only responsible for consuming or providing data. Now comes another term that is called REST or RESTful. REST is just an acronym for Representational State Transfer. It is nothing but a set of rules that define how applications or how APIs are going to communicate with each other. They use HTTP verbs like put, post, delete, get, and so on to define how the data gets transferred from one service to another. So, what are we going to build in this section? We are going to learn how we can Dockerize a RESTful API application. The runtime environment that we're going to use is, as we just mentioned, Node.js, and we'll have a backend database of MongoDB, what RESTful services look like, and we are going to test our service using an API client. Then we are going to learn how we can use Docker to Dockerize this app inside an image and then deploy it anywhere and on any infrastructure as long as it supports Docker. In this video, we are going to install Docker Compose and have a quick look on what basic options it has. The only prerequisite for Docker Compose is a Docker installation. So this machine already has Docker. Let's issue Docker -- version, and we have here Docker installed. So let's go ahead and install Docker Compose. So I'm going to go online and search for install Docker Compose. It has a lot of installation options depending on your specific OS. It is available on Mac, Windows, and Linux. So I'm going to choose Linux. And here we will need to just copy and paste this command. I'm going to copy it, paste it in here. And then just downloads the binary and place it in URL local bin, the docker-compose binary, and that's it. So the second command just adds the execute permissions for this docker-compose binary. So let's execute it. And now we have docker-compose available. It also accepts test- version just like Docker. And we have version 1.24, which is the latest at the time of this recording. Okay, so let's clear the screen, and I'm going to switch to root and start creating my Docker Compose file. Docker Compose expects to see a file that is called docker-compose.yml in its current working directory. This is the default behavior. However, you can change this behavior by specifying the path and the name of the Docker Compose file if you decided to give it a different name, and Docker Compose will pick up the path and the name that you specified for its file. Otherwise, it's going to use the default docker-compose.yml in the working directory. Okay, so this is the file. I'm going to start by the version. Docker Compose has several versions, the latest of which at the time of this recording is 3.1. And then we have the concept of services. You can think of a service as another name for a container, but Docker Compose calls it a service.